Hi everyone. Good morning. I hope you are able to hear me. Can anyone please confirm?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So hi everyone. This is Bhaskar. I have 14 plus years of IT experience, and I started my career with Microsoft Business Intelligence, which is having SQL Server integration services. As a ETL developer, I started my career. And later, I got an opportunity to work for Microsoft. I was there for more than 8 years. And later, I mean to say, when I was working with Microsoft, I adopted Azure Data Engineering Services like Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. And currently, I'm working for one of the Indian-based company from Hyderabad. And I'm a working professional, and I'm having 10 plus years of experience and training also. So this is briefly about me. And I'm just going to talk about what we are going to do as a Azure data engineer. So I'm just talking specifically Azure data engineer. So what you're going to do with the Azure data engineer that we are going to see. So what are the primary responsibilities of data engineer? What are the primary responsibilities of data engineer we are going to see as part of our today's session, and what we are going to do with the data, from where we are going to get the data, and how the market is there for data engineers. So all those things that I'm going to talk about it as part of today's session. So when you take any business, a data is important. Give me 1 minute. When you take any business, a data is very, very important, right? How this data is getting generated. How this data is getting generated. So I wanted to say for what is data means, a data is going to be there in the form of numbers, in the form of text, in the form of date and time, and so on. Okay, so data is like a raw fact. Okay, so it is a raw fact. So most of you may be aware of it. What do you mean by data? Which is going to have numbers, text, dates, bool, audio, video, and so on. So all these things we can say it is a data. But how this data is going to get? From where you're going to get this data? From where you're going to get the data? So that is important. Okay, so how this data is going to be generated is, if you take a Flipkart or if you take any business in the market, for every business there will be some business application. There will be some business application. So I'm just going to say this is a business application. If you take a ICICI Bank, they have a iMobile, they have a net banking, they have a ATMs, they have a many alternative options are there to make the transactions. So in the same way here, how we are going to make a transaction is by using these applications. So applications will be there in the business. If you take any business, applications will be there. So that is one thing we have to keep in mind. And these applications are going to be used by customers. These applications are going to be used by customers. So you are customer, I am a customer for business, and someone else also is going to be customers for the business. So I just wanted to take like, you can treat this person as a customer. Cust one, something like that. So all these people, what they're going to do is they're going to access their business applications to make the transactions. If you take a Flipkart, and Flipkart is going to have their own application to run the business. In the same way, this person also is going to connect to the applications. And these applications will be used to run the business. Whenever you wanted to order a product, whenever you wanted to order a product, you open their application and submit your request. I mean to say what products you required and what is the delivery address and how many number of quantity is required and the payment of your order, all the details that we can call it as a transaction. So whatever the details that you are going to provide, those things we can call them as a transactions. So daily transactions are going to be captured by the business application. Okay, so daily transactions are going to be captured by business application. And this application is going to store the data, whatever the details that you provided, those details are going to be stored in a database. Those details are going to be stored in a database. So that database, we can call it as a OLTP system. So what do you mean by OLTP system? The OLTP system is online transactional processing system. OLTP means online transactional processing system. Online transactional processing system. So this system is specifically designed for storing your business data. A day-to-day activities or day-to-day transactions are going to stored in this system. And who is going to design this process? Who is going to design this process? This entire process is going to be responsible by application developers. This entire thing will be designed by application developers. And of course, you will be having a database developers also is going to be there. But we are not going to be part of this. We are not going to be part of running the business. We are going to be part of after this. After this, we are going to come across that. So how this system is designed, how this application is feeding the data into this OLTP system is not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to get the data from this particular system. From the business systems, we are going to collect the data. From the business systems, we can collect the data. So this OLTP systems can be Oracle, this OLTP system can be SQL Server, any database they may have it. So I just wanted to say business systems. All these things, all these systems, I wanted to call it as a business systems. These business systems are responsible. These business systems are responsible to get the data from the applications. Whenever the customer is going to make a transactions, according to customer requirement, those details are going to be captured and kept inside the OLTP system. So how this system is designed is out of the boundary for us. So purely database developers and database architects are going to take care about designing of the system, and application developers, I mean to say Java development or Java developers or .NET developers. So any application developers can design these applications to communicate with the database. Now, why data engineers are required? Your data is there here. Your data is there here, then why data engineers are required? The data engineers are required to get the insights on top of the business. The reason is, if I wanted to grow in the business, then definitely we required analysis. Analysis is required. If you do analysis, then only you can increase your business. You can spread your business across the different globes, across the different products, so that you can grow in the business. If you wanted to do that, then you have to analyze your business. If you wanted to analyze your business, then you need to have a cleansed data. Cleansed data is required, because whatever the data is there in this particular system is going to be raw data. So raw data is not suitable for analysis. Raw data is not suitable for analysis. So the business requirement, or the business is going to expect, the business expects cleansed data. The business expects cleansed data. So how or who is going to get the cleansed data? Who is going to provide the cleansed data? As a data engineer, we are responsible. So as a data engineer, we are going to be responsible to get the raw data. Here I'm just taking only one diagram, one a symbol, but you will be having many systems for your business. You may get the data from different systems. And then you need to integrate, you need to apply transformations, and you need to aggregate it, and you need to load the data. So how exactly the olden days before this Azure data engineering, how people was used to process this data? This data was there from long ago, from 2 decades ago. This data was started, this process was started. Okay, so business was there very long ago in terms of in different approaches. Okay, so how usually the traditional approaches or traditional way how you used to process this data, that I wanted to take you through that. And then I'll take you through what was the problem with the traditional approach and what is the next solution and what was the problem with that and why we need to go for Azure data engineering services. So that I'm going to talk about it. Now let's say I have a data here. In traditional systems, how exactly this is going to be happen is I'm just taking ETL processing. So you need to know about ETL processing. So this is very important term that you are going to come across in our discussions many times, because this is a very important term that you need to understand. ETL processing. If I have a data here, if I have a data in the business systems, the business system may be Oracle. I'm having a data in a Oracle, and I'm having a data in a SQL server. Just imagine. And I'm having a data in the file system also. Just take an SFTP, secure file transfer protocol. So there I'm having a files. All these systems I wanted to treat my business systems. How these systems are getting the data? With the help of these applications, you're getting the data. And sometimes you may not give it direct access to the business system. You're going to export the data into the file system. Those files you're going to keep in the SFTP, and business is going to give the access to the SFTP. So for that reason, I'm just taking that. All these systems I wanted to talk, or I wanted to say, is business systems. All the systems are business systems. Let's say these are all the business systems. Now you have a data here in the business systems, and you wanted to extract the data from here to integrate it, because whatever the business systems we are having, these business systems are not capable enough to have a historical data. If you wanted to analyze your business, then definitely you required historical data. So historical data is not possible to keep in the business systems. The business systems are designed specifically to run the business, not for keeping your historical data. The design itself will not allow to keep your historical data. Historical means you're going to have a duplicated data. So duplicated data is going to be there. But when it comes to here, it is going to be always normalization or normalized data. So normalized means always it is going to have a unique data. The design itself is going to have something like that. So I'll talk about what is the differences between OLTP system and VLAP system later. For now, I just wanted to say and how usually your traditional approach was there to process your data, to maintain historical data, to shape your business data. How visually we used to do is, this is where my career was started. So this is the place my career was started, that is SSIS. We have a Informatica. And we have a data stage. So something like this, there are many ETL tools were there in the market. There are many ETL tools. All these ETL tools were used to extract the data from the varieties of the systems. Varieties of the systems we extracted. So in my case, I used SQL Server integration services from the Microsoft. And this is used to extract the data. So now we are extracting the data. What do you mean by extracting? Extracting means the process of taking data from business systems. It's a process of taking data from business systems or source systems. Is known as a extraction or extract. So this is one of the term that we need to remember, because this is very frequently we are going to do it. That is the primary responsibility of data engineer. So traditional ETL developers now calling as data engineers. Okay, so once I touch all those things, how exactly it is evolved, then you can understand why extract is important for data engineers. Now I have an extract and you're extracting. What you're doing with the ETL tools, these tools we used to call them as a ETL tools because they're implementing ETL processing. So what we are going to do with the help of these tools is we are going to do transformation. We're going to do the transformation. So transformation is also very, very important. And we are going to spend 80% of the time with the transformation only. We're going to spend 80% of the time with the transformation only as a data engineer. And once you apply the required transformation, so what does it mean by transformation? I'm just trying to give here itself. It's a process of doing data shaping is known as transformation. So you are going to transform the data. So I'll give an example. Let's say, for example, I have a order date in the source. Order date is there in the source. But I wanted to analyze my business. I wanted to see sales by year. Sales by year I wanted to see. So you required some chart. Let's say, for example, column chart, something like this. I'm just doing roughly. So here I'm just going to show sales year, and I'm just going to show year. Then what is the sales for 2023, 2024, and 2025? So year is required, but my source systems are having order date only. You're not having the year. So from the order date, we are going to define this year column. If you have a date, from the date you can get the year. So that means you're transforming, you're applying a transformation to get some data points. So what do you mean by data points, and on what basis you're going to start your development? I'll talk about it. So whenever you're going to get any requirement, so how you're going to start it? If you get a requirement, when you're working as a data engineer, how exactly you're going to start your work? Those things also I'm going to talk about it. So we need to identify the data points. Based on the data points, you're going to apply transformation as per your business requirement. So once you applied this transformation, how visually we used to do is, here this OLTP system or the business system, the business data was distributed. It's not in the same platform. It's there in a different platforms and different areas. So we need to integrate and keep it in a database. So I'm going to take one more database here. This database is staging database. This database is a staging database. So why we need to have a staging database? Maybe if you're having some experience with the ETL, I mean, with the traditional ETL tools, then you may have an idea. The same concept also we are going to use in the data engineering. We need to stage the data for some reason. I'll talk about it. What are the reasons are there? So the process of feeding the data into this staging database or staging system, we can call it as a loading. We can call it as a loading. So loading means it's a process of feeding the data. the process of feeding a data into targets. So what you are doing with the ETL services, or whatever the services that I pointed here, we are doing ETL processing. This entire thing that we can call it as a ETL processing. You're extracting the data from the varieties of the systems, and you're integrating and keeping in a one single system. One single system we are keeping, because here you are going to have a day-to-day data here. But your target is to have the historical data. You have to keep the historical data. You have to apply data cleansing operations. So you have to check the data qualities, or you have to aggregate the data, and you have to keep the aggregated data in your target systems. But these systems are not, is not possible to keep it. So these systems are designed for running the business, not for analyzing. So if you try to do the analysis on top of this directly, then it is going to, it's going to impact your business. You cannot do it on directly in the business system. So they're going to export the data and gives the data in the form of files, or they may have a separate, they will take a backup, because database cost is less now when you compare with the olden days. So they're going to keep the data in the database, and they will give access to the databases. Now data can be take it from the database also. Now data is there in the staging. When you compare between these two systems, we can also call this as a data store. We can call this as a data store, or anything that we can call. A single platform is going to have all this data here. From here, again, we are going to implement this part. Let me say, whatever the part that you're taking here, this part we can call it as a taking data from here to there. I wanted to say this part. Just keep in mind this terminology is important. Data ingestion. So this part we can call it as a data ingestion. And again, I'm taking the same services. We are going to do the same extraction again. You're extracting the data from here to here. And then here also you're doing an extraction. Again, you're doing an extraction. So why you're doing extraction is because here I'm having a raw data only. The only thing is this is equivalent to my business data, and I'm just changing the data by applying some SCD type 1 or SCD type 2 implementations. It will be easy if we can stage the data in the database. And then we are going to have a one more database, but this database is a data warehouse. This database is a data warehouse. And here also you're going to do the transformation. And then you're loading the data here. This data warehouse, we can also call it as a OLAP systems. OLAP means online transactional, online analytical processing systems. Let me say, OLAP means online analytical processing systems. So these systems are specifically designed for analyzing the business. If you wanted to analyze the business, then you need to have a historical data. Historical data is going to be there in the world. In the data warehouse only. In the OLAP systems only, you're going to have a historical data. So this process from here to here This entire process, we used to call it as a data transformation. This process, we can call it as a data transformation. We're applying a data transformation here. We're applying a data transformation. So how many activities that you're going to do? I mean to say in the traditional also, we have a two operations. One is data ingestion and other is data transformation. Now, why this process is not capable enough with current market? Of course, this was not even suitable a decade ago, but still there was a few projects with the same traditional approach even now in the market. So these systems are not going to process data parallelly. So no parallel processing. No parallel processing in this one. So limitations of this traditional approach. So this process was a traditional ETL processing. Traditional ETL processing. So this process is not capable enough to process the data if you have a massive volume of data. So you need to understand the problems, right? So what was the problems? So what problems were there when we go with the traditional approach? The very first problem, or the only one problem I say, that is big data. About traditional systems are not capable enough to process big data. So that is a major problem. So this is the only one limitation. I can say this is the only one limitation. This limitation says this your traditional system is not capable enough to process your big data. Now you need to understand what is this big data. If you understand this big data, then you can understand why this traditional systems or traditional ETL processing is not capable for processing the data. So I'm just going to talk about a big data. So on what basis we can say it is a big data. Okay, so before that, just give me a minute. I'm just giving one link, guys. So just please just provide your details. Just give me a minute. So please submit your registration so that it is going to be easy to connect with you. So I shared one link in the chat box. Just provide those details. Okay, so we need to understand what is a big data. On what basis we can say big data? As a data engineer, we are going to provide a solution for your big data. Because these traditional systems are not capable enough to process the data. So how can you provide the solution? So previously we were called as a ETL developers. So that time it is fine, but now it is not fine. So this time we need to go for different technologies. So the different technologies that we are going to see, first we need to understand how can you say that is a big data. So that is important here. There are some characteristics. So those characteristics we need to take to say that is a big data or not. Now let me take what is big data. Understand this term. This is important. So then only can understand why we need to go for big data. So based on a number of views, a number of V's, that means the market was decided if these characteristics are satisfied by your business data, then we can treat that particular data as a big data. Okay, so there are three ways are there to treat that is a big data. Three ways will be considered. to say there is a big data. So what are the three V's are there? So that I'm just taking. So one is value. So based on the volume of the data, we can say that is a big data. Based on the volume of the data, we can say either that is a big data or not. So huge volume of data. Huge volume of data. Huge volume, or we can say amount of data. So massive volume of data, if we have, then we can say it is a big data. I'll tell you one example. So like if you wanted to treat this big data, do you need to have a TBs of the data to say it is a big data? No. If you take an example, Gmail, if you try to attach anything to this Gmail, it is going to take up to 25 MB only. You cannot attach more than 25 MB. You cannot attach more than 25 MB. In this particular case, 25 MB is a big data for your Gmail. Or let's go for a Google storage. For every account, you're going to get 15 GB max. That means it's a free of cost. If this 15 GB is completed, you have to attach your storage. In that case, we can say this particular 15 GB is the big data. Or I have a laptop. My laptop is allowing to store up to 500 GB. If I have a 501 GB data, then I cannot store my 51 GB data into my laptop. In my laptop perspective, this 501 is a big data. And this is one of the way to say it is a big data. Not only this way. There is a few more ways also to say that is a big data. Okay, so in your case, maybe your company is processing 1 TB data. But if you say the same thing with Facebook, they will be having hundreds of TBs of the data they used to process it. In their perspective, that is the big data. In my company perspective, 1 TB itself is my big data. Okay, so how much volume of the data I have seen in my experience, in my previous experience, I was seeing 1.02 TB was there after processing the data. So it's not going to process in one day. We processed on a daily basis. So I got to know that because of I have created one report, how much volume of the data we are processing on daily basis and what jobs are running. All those things I did it. So I got to know how much volume of the data that we are having in the final storage. Your underlying systems may be little more. Okay, so it all depends on the requirement. You may have some volume of data. That data you're going to process. So one of the characteristic, as I said, we are going to say that is a volume. And another characteristic is variety. So variety means we are going to have a structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. So all these things are the varieties of the data. If we take these traditional systems, all these systems are going to store only structured data. Before big data was introduced, there was only structured data. The problem is happened is because of massive volume of data and varieties of the data. So varieties means we are going to have a structured data. So structure, all the databases are going to have a structured data. If you wanted to write the data into these systems, then data types will be fixed. The number of columns is fixed. It's tightly coupled. Your schema is tightly coupled with your database. So because of that reason, we can keep only a structured data. If you have a unstructured data, these systems are not capable enough to process it. So because of that reason, we look forward to other systems. We look forward to other systems to provide the solution for your varieties of the data. So I have a structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. How exactly this structured data is going to be there, and how exactly your semi-structured, like for an example, even if I wanted to give a structured data is going to have all the databases, or the databases are going to have a structured data only. And CSV files, you're going to have a fixed number of columns, comma separated files. Okay, so when you go for semi-structured data, we can say JSON files. We'll see how exactly they're going to have. We are going to see how we can do process of it. And XML files, YAML. All these files are going to be semi-structured data. Number of columns are not fixed. Number of columns are not fixed. And data types are not fixed. Okay. And that is very faster also. Where exactly there is a chances to use them, I'll talk about it in the regular sessions. And then unstructured data, a plain text is a unstructured data. Okay, so your logs are going to be unstructured data. Audio is going to be unstructured data. Images are going to be unstructured data. There is no structure for that. Okay, so that is also is going to be varieties of the data. Okay, so volume is one of the characteristics, and variety is one of the characteristic, and other varieties of the characteristics is velocity. This three is more enough for us. So velocity means the speed at which new data is coming into business systems. So how fast you are generating the data? How fast you are generating means your business. If you take a Flipkart, or if you take a Facebook, the data is going to generate very fast. So that is what it is going to decide. So how fast the data is going to be generated and comes into the business systems. So on that basis also we can say it is a big data. Okay, so if you have these three characteristics, then we can say that is a big data, and above systems are not going to process your big data. And this is the place where Hadoop was introduced. So to provide the solution for all these ways, or to provide the solution for your big data, we got Hadoop. I'm just going to take this. So same business systems only I'm having it. Same business systems I'm having. But solution is going to be changed. So previously we have used traditional ETL tools. Now what I'm trying to use in this place is I'm going to use Hadoop. Basically, I say a scoop, because data ingestion is required here. Here also data ingestion is required, and you're going to load the data into a storage called HDFS. You're going to store the data into HDFS. You're extracting the data from the varieties of the system, and you're loading the data into HDFS. So same to same, you're going to have it. Extraction, you're extracting it. And in this place, you are not going to do any transformation. You're not going to apply any transformation. You're just going to ingest the data into this place. Okay, so still we used to call this as a data ingestion only. This entire part is going to be called as a data ingestion. This part we can call it as a data ingestion. And once the data is ingested into the HDFS, why this HDFS or why this Hadoop was introduced, or one more limitation I wanted to talk about it. To provide the solution for big data, we came across to this. There is a one more problem when you go for the traditional approaches, because this system is going to process in a single server. You have to increase the compute for the same system, monolithic approach. So mono means a single system. A single system is going to process your entire data. Because of that reason, it takes longer time to process even structured data. Even if you have a less volume of data, nowadays we need to process the data very fast and we need to analyze and take the business decisions. And if you process the data and if you give data after 24 hours or after few days, there is no point of having these systems, because these systems are going to work with the single system. This traditional approach is going to work with the single system. But when you go with this Hadoop, it is going to work in a distributed manner. So it is going to work as a distributed manner. So what do you mean by distributed manner? What do you mean by distributed approach means? Let's say, for example, I have some work. Okay, so I need to do some work. The work is there. And I wanted to call the people to complete my work. Okay, so I'm just going to call the workers. The workers will be there. Okay, so I called one worker and he started my work. And just imagine this person is taking 5 days to complete my work. He's taking 5 days to complete my work. Okay, and even if I feed more this person, more power, more feed, if I give, he cannot complete less than 4 days. Okay, so even if you feed more and more, then he will get sleep only. He cannot do the work. So in the same way, if you attach your compute, I mean to say, RAM will be there in the system, processor will be there in the system, hard disk will be there in the system. If you increase more and more to the same place, there will be no use. The process up to some level is fine, and if you cross that level, it is not going to work. So how distributed is going to work is the same work, if we can give it to multiple persons. Let's say I have a 5 workers. I have a 5 workers. And I'm just giving this entire work to these 5 persons. Now the work is going to happen parallelly. Everyone is not going to depend on others. Every person is going to work independently. My work will be completed in a 1 day. I'm just taking an example. So this is how the distributed processing is going to be happen. The data is going to be distributed. The process also is going to be distributed. Okay, at the time of Spark architecture, I'm going to talk about more in detail about how exactly the distributed process is going to work. Okay, so at this point of time, you just imagine here we are going to keep the data into the HDFS. And then we are taking again one more layer. We're extracting the data from HDFS. Now this time I'm going to take MapReduce. So you can take the data from here. You can take the data from here. So here also you're going to say extract. And then you're going to apply the transformation here. You're going to apply transformation. Here I'm going to apply transformation. So how you're going to apply transformation with MapReduce? So this was this set. I mean to say this Hadoop set a trend and there is a it has sensational when it was introduced. So because of that reason, the big data technologies means Hadoop. People used to say Hadoop. Hadoop is used to provide the solution for your big data. So Hadoop is going to have a map reduce. This map reduce is a framework, and this is going to be used to provide the solution for your big data. And how you're providing the solution for big data, it's out of the boundary for us because we're not going to learn Hadoop. So limitations of the Hadoop also is there. And then finally, you're going to store the data into your target. And that is Hadoop, HDFS again. And you're going to load the data into this place. The second part that we used to call it as a data transformation. The second part that we used to call it as a data transformation. So even if you go for Hadoop technologies, we used to do the data ingestion and data transformation. In the same way, there was many problems with the Hadoop. I'll talk about all these things again. Okay, so if you go with this one, you have to write hundreds of lines of the code. Too many lines of the code, you need to write it. Too many lines of the code. And it's very, very difficult to do it. And moreover, you need to know about the Java. So that is one problem. Another problem is you need to write too many lines of the code. And there are many problems are there. I don't want to talk at this point of time. We'll talk at the time of Spark architecture. But how usually we used to process the data. That is what I mean to say. So in place of this, when you go for Azure, I'm just trying to show here itself. When you go for Azure, what happens is, what technologies are there to process the data here? And what is the alternative way for this map reduce? The Spark came into the picture. The same to same diagram. The scope was there for data ingestion. A map reduce only is the culprit for doing a data processing. Everyone cannot adopt it. There are many problems are there. And this map reduce is going to replace with your Spark. So Spark is very, very important for our training. For our training, this is very, very important. Okay, so I'm not taking the diagram at this point of time, but you can just keep in mind the map reduce is going to be replaced by the Spark, Apache Spark. And then if I wanted to process how we can do it with the Azure, because we are going to work as an Azure data engineer. Our main aim is to talk about Azure data engineer. Okay, so how exactly you're going to handle it? Let me draw this. Okay, so same to same diagram, I'm just going to take it so that you can understand easily. Same business systems, you're going to have it. In place of the scope, you're not interested to write the code because the scope is completely coding. SQL style of coding that you're going to do it here. In place of this, we are going to have a ADF. So ADF means, let's say complete name, Azure Data Factory. So we have a tool called Azure Data Factory. We are also going to call this as a ADF. We can also call this as a ADF, Azure Data Factory. So when you're going to work as a Azure data engineer, 100% you're going to use this. We don't need to write a code. So no code is going to be there here. No code. We don't need to write a code. If you go for even Hadoop also is a traditional approach only now. Okay, so decade ago, Hadoop was like anything, but not now. The MapReduce was replaced with the Spark. So because of that reason, Hadoop is almost gone. And even if you get an opportunity to work with the Hadoop ecosystems, just ignore it and go with the Spark and go with the new technologies, that is Azure Data Engineering Services. So to provide the solution for your big data, Microsoft also has designed a approach. The Microsoft also has designed this platform to handle your big data. So Azure Data Factory will be used to extract the data from the varieties of the systems. Varieties of the systems you can take and you can extract it. And they have provided many connectors. When we see this Azure Data Factory practically, then you can feel how exactly it is going to be there. And then we are going to load the data into the target. The target here is ADLS. ADLS Gen 2. So ADLS Gen 2, we are going to use it. And in order to do the data transformation, we have two options here. You can use ADF or you can use ADB. You can use ADF or you can use ADB. And the target is, again, I'm just going to take ADLS Gen 2. So I hope you are following with me. So here, Azure Data Factory is going for doing a data ingestion and loading the data into Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. We can call this as a data lakes. And in the next stage, we are going to use the Azure Data Factory for doing a transformation. But market is 90% of the times we are going to use Azure Databricks for transformation. Azure Databricks. So Databricks is very, very important. Okay, so we are going to have a Spark. On top of the Spark, we have a Databricks. And Databricks is associated with the Azure. So we are calling it as a Azure Databricks. So we'll talk about more in detail at the time of individual services. So if you don't know the Databricks, then you cannot get a job. I'm sure about it. So Databricks is mandatorily required. Of course, this data factory also is required for data ingestion. Apart from this data ingestion, you can also do one more activity with the help of this is data orchestration. So what do you mean by data orchestration? Means you're going to automate the entire process. You're going to design the flow of execution. So which one has to go first and which one has to go next and so on. So that will be designed, that is going to be designed with the help of Azure Data Factory. Okay, so if you go with this one, if you go with the scope is not going to have that visibility, that can do only a data ingestion. So they need to go for some other service like OG or something is there in order to automate or in order to orchestrate the data processing. But when it comes to here, it is very, very simple to do the data orchestration. And also this ADB, I'm just talking about with respect to ADB. ADB also is going to support a data orchestration. I'm just saying in bracket ADB. ADB is having capability to do the data orchestration, but data ingestion is not going to be possible to do with the Databricks. We are not supposed to do it. We have a very limited connectors. So how this Databricks was evolved from the Spark and how this Spark was evolved from the Hadoop. So that we are going to talk in more in detail at the time of Azure Databricks. So this is how we are going to do the data processing as a data engineer, Azure data engineer. Okay, so in place of this, if you go with AWS, we have a AWS services also. Okay, so in place of Azure Data Factory, they have a Glue. Okay, so Glue or something, some namings are there, and here they have a different services in order to do it. But when it comes to user's point of view, these services are more flexible and easy to use it when you compare with other cloud providers. So why Azure is having very strong services for data engineering to provide the solution for your big data. And we can use Azure Data Engineering Services. And who is going to consume your data? After processing, you're applying ingestion, you're applying a data transformation, and who is going to consume your data means your reporting teams are going to consume the data. So this place from here, the reporting team is going to take the data, reporting purpose, and data scientists also is going to take the data from here only. So data scientists also is going to take the data from us. So that means we are responsible to give the data for all these people. Okay. So the number of jobs when you compare with others, like reporting or something, this entire data processing has to be done. So data engineers, 100% is every project is required. Wherever there is a ETL, keep in mind data engineers are required. Okay, so we can also call it as a ELT service because we are doing a transformation after data ingestion. We are doing a transformation in the second stage. First stage is data ingestion. Second stage is data transformation. So after loading, you are applying a transformation. Why we are doing transformation in the second stage? Why don't we do the data transformation like our traditional ETL approach? Why we are not doing here? I'll talk about it when the time comes in the regular sessions. Okay, so we are going to deal always with the data. Like if you have a 20 data engineers in your project, hardly you may have a reporting side max to max 2 members is much more enough. 2 or 3 members. And same 2 members is more enough to testing for testing team. So testing team also is required. Data engineers, do not think there will be no testing team, will be there. And you are going to do the unit testing, and testing team is going to do the complete end-to-end testing is going to be happen. And then at least 2 persons are required for even DevOps also. Okay, so same to same data scientist also is going to be same thing. But across this, the more and more people for data engineers. Okay, so there are many projects are existed. Like most of the SSIS projects are migrating from SSIS to Azure Data Engineering. I mean to say Azure services. And they stopped. Even I don't think they're going to provide any updates on the SSIS. Maybe in the very soon they're going to stop this support. Then ultimately all the SSIS projects need to move towards to the data factory or Azure platform. And there are many Hadoop projects also there. Many Hadoop projects also is migrating towards because run and maintenance is very huge. And why we need to come out of the Hadoop, we'll talk about it. At the time of Spark architecture, I'm going to talk more in detail why we need to come out of the Hadoop so that we'll get better clarity. Okay, so to whom it is going to be suitable? Like if you have a, let me take few points I have. Just give me a minute. Okay, so to whom it is going to be possible and what are the prerequisites? For learning point of view, I'm talking. Okay, so the folks who are having a gap, okay, so few years gap if you have, and if you wanted to migrate or if you wanted to get into IT field, then you are right person to take Azure Data Engineering Services. So if you have some gap, just fill that gap and use this Azure Data Engineering Services to get into the IT. And if you have a old skill set, if you wanted to migrate your skill set, let's say I'm working with the Excel or I'm working with the Power BI. or I'm working with the DevOps. Any experience you're having. If you wanted to come towards to the data processing side, because data processing is going to have a more and more jobs when you compare with others. So just now I explained by taking 20 data engineers, that was happened in my one of the project. That is how we were having it. Okay, so a data processing is going to have a good packages also. Because of that reason, you can upgrade your skill set. Okay, and if you have a non-IT experience, even if you have a non-IT experience, and this is the right course to go into the IT from non-IT. Okay, so you don't need to have any prior experience. And even you can also try, if you are a fresher, then you can also try. But when you compare with others, you will be little difficult to get the number of calls, but still you can attempt it. You can get it. Because the data engineering, data scientists, all these things are there in the academic of your BTech. So you're also going to be eligible. And in order to work as a data engineer, 2 prerequisites are required for learning this course. Okay, so one is SQL. SQL basics are required. Since we are going to deal with the data always, 100% SQL is required. Do not think that SQL is not required. And that I'm going to take care, you don't worry about it. Whatever is required for data engineer, that we are going to see. We are not a SQL developers. We don't need to write too many lines of the stored procedures. Okay, so we are going to use the Databricks. You have to be strong in the Databricks, not in the SQL. I mean to say, we are not going to write a stored procedures. And the second thing is the Python basics. So since we are going to write PySpark code, we required Python. And that too, we required core Python. So whatever is required, that is more enough. So that will also, I'll take care. This Python will be used for Databricks. When you're doing a data transformation, 100% Python is required. So that I'll take care about it. So taking care of these prerequisites, I will take care. You don't need to worry about it. You don't need to go anywhere. From the basics, I'm going to talk about as part of the training so that you don't get any difficulties. And this course is going to provide the PDF materials. I mean to say, whatever I'm showing, that you will get it. That is one thing. Another thing is recording sessions will be available for 1 year. 1 year it will be provided. Okay, and interview preparation will be taken care. Interview preparation. And if you are interested to write the certifications, then DOMS will be provided. You can go through that. And this course is not about to clear your DOMS. Clear your certifications. This course is for working point of view. It's completely job oriented training. Okay, so my concentration is more on the job. If you get a job, how you can survive, that is the main target. So if you want to clear the certification, then there are many dumps available in the market. You can just download and you can just have a look on it and you can go for it. There are many alternative ways also there. Most of you may be aware of it. But having a certification from Microsoft, it doesn't mean that you're expert. So certification, I've seen many people when I was there, when I'm there in the panel, even if they have done certification, they're having lack of subject. So working is different, certification is different. Certification is Microsoft revenue. They're going to get more revenue. But job is not like that. So job, you have to do it. It's not like multiple choices. So this course is purely related to working point of view. Whatever I am facing or whatever I faced in my experience, that I'm going to share. So if you can do a project with me, I'm going to make you to do along with me the project. I'm sure you can easily survive as an individual developer also. So that I'll take you through that. Okay, so all this material, even I have even in a PDF. Why I'm taking this typing is because, like, you can have a little more concentration. if I do that. If I directly show that, I'm just thinking that the people is deviating the concentration, deviating from the explanation. So because of that reason, I'm just drawing and explaining so that you'll get better clarity. So throughout the sessions, we are going to have in the similar approach. Okay, so I'll take a use case, I'll explain about the use case, and then we are going to start doing the implementation. When you get any work, you're not supposed to go and directly do it. You have to understand the requirement. You have to understand the data points. So then you have to start doing the development. Okay, all those things I'm going to talk about it. And here I have my number. This is my number only. You can reach out me directly. Okay, you can reach out me. For me, I have a WhatsApp number. You can just say in WhatsApp hi, then I'll keep in touch with you. And one more thing is, even I'm working. I'm a working professional. Sometimes I may not respond directly for your calls, but definitely I'll respond for your WhatsApps. And Saturday, Sunday will be available if you wanted to talk one to one. Anything that you can directly reach out me. You don't need to reach out to other person. We have a person, but you can reach out me if it is anything related to subject. Okay. So I'm stopping here. I will take a questions if you have any questions from your side. And our job is to process the big data. How we are going to process the big data, that entire thing that we are going to discuss with the Azure engineering services. Any questions, guys? You can feel free to ask.
Yeah, hi sir.
Hi, Anas.
Yeah, when it comes to SQL and all, so you will be covering the NoSQL part as well, the data warehousing concepts.
No, that is not required for us. Okay, so we can ignore the no SQL part.
Okay, so basically, what is the SQL? I think are we going to use MongoDB or PostgreSQL?
No, I'm going to use SQL Server.
Okay.
See, if PostgreSQL, if you know SQL, then you can also work with the PostgreSQL.
Hmm.
Okay, so the reason why I'm concentrating SQL is because SQL is required for underlying data sources. Because if your source system is Oracle, then you need to write a SQL code. Or if your source system is a SQL Server or MySQL, then you have to write a SQL code for your data factory. And again, one more place is important is in the Databricks. In Databricks also, we can write a SQL code for doing a transformation. But maybe if you're having some experience with the traditional ETL, or if you're having some experience with the SQL, then you may be interested to write a SQL code with the Databricks. There are various options are there. We can use RDD, we can use data frame. Okay, for this two, we can use Python, and we can also write a SQL, and we can also write a Scala. But Scala is not part of us, and these two are is part of us, SQL and Python.
Okay.
Okay, for that reason, SQL is required for me.
So one more thing, sir. So for this ETL tool, are we going to use Informatica?
No, they are traditional. They are almost completed in the market.
Okay.
Okay, just for understanding, I have walked you through how exactly we used to do the processing in the olden days. Okay, so from here it was evolved towards to the Hadoop. And again, from the Hadoop, Spark came into replacing this MapReduce. The diagram I'm not showing. And then Azure, I mean to say Microsoft also started providing the solution for the big data. And now in the market, Microsoft Azure is the #1 position for data processing side. We are not
Okay.
having this kind of services in AWS or GCP. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone else?
So we are starting basically from that start to that cloud related, right?
Yes,
So
we are
not
going to
directly.
start. Yes, we are going to start from the cloud related,
Okay. Okay.
not Hadoop related.
Mhm.
We are going to start with the cloud related stuff. But I'll give a differentiation because why we need to come out of the Hadoop. That you need to know or you need to be aware of it. So that I'm going to talk. Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, in the ETL part, we are using the SSIS tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in that session, means that in that course, are you introducing that SSIS related things, anything?
No,
No. Okay.
no, because there was no much more projects now in the
Uh,
SSIs.
uh,
Okay, so there is no
so,
point of talking any traditional ETLs or even Hadoop also. We
so,
have to concentrate only on the Azure related services.
so do we need to require
No,
the SSR
no,
related things?
no,
If you need
not
to
required.
join,
Not
okay,
required.
okay.
Completely not required. Okay, so whatever the last thing is that this is essentially is required for us. Okay, so the reason why I have compared with those systems is you need to say like why we need to come out of those systems towards to this. This data processing is not a new technology. It was there from long ago. The technologies are changed. And these technologies for next 10 years, 100% will be there. Later 10 years, we don't know.
Sir, so this course will talk about the services of the Azure, right?
Yes.
So, like, what about big data, Hive, and all?
No, that's what I'm saying. Those systems are traditional. Hive is gone. Hive is there with the Databricks as a data meta store. So once you come to here, then you don't think about that. Many Hadoop projects are moving towards to this platform. This is the next generation.
So, this course will talk about this thing, Kubernetes or Kafka.
No, that's what I'm saying. Those are all the ecosystems of Hadoop. Why you're using Kafka, basically, for streaming, right?
Yes.
Your Hadoop is not having a streaming, so you're going for the Kafka. If you have a streaming with the Spark itself, why you need to go? Spark itself is having a streaming. That means Databricks is having a streaming.
So,
But
how much if fluent we have to be in with SQL and Python?
the basics are enough. That I'll take care about it. You don't need any knowledge. You just travel with me. I'll take care of everything.
Okay.
Okay. All the Hadoop ecosystems were replaced with the Spark. If you need a SQL, if you need a database, what you used to do, you need to go for Hive or you need to go for HBase. You don't
Hmm.
need to go. Here we have a Spark SQL. You can create a database. You can do the DML operations also. You can do many things. Once you come across this, then you can see data warehouse also can create here.
Okay.
Okay, many changes happen. And if you wanted to do the transformations, then you need to go for MapReduce or something. Pig is also there for transformation, if I'm correct. I'm not sure. Okay, so here everything that you can do with the what is that? PySpark. With the PySpark, we can do. Okay, in one file, I mean to say one notebook can have a many things. One notebook can have a many things. I'm going to show you. So then you can get to know why we need to come out of the Hadoop. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other question?
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah,
Rudra.
Karan. Yeah, Karan.
Yeah. So after completion of every class, we will get recordings, right?
Yes.
Recording sessions
Yes.
through WhatsApp or through mail.
No, website we have. Okay, so you can log into there and all recording will be available there.
Okay. And regarding the payment, will you provide any link
Yeah,
to
I'll share that. I shared one link. If you can submit your
form? Yeah.
form,
Just now I
then
filled the form.
yeah. So we will reach out to you, Akram. with the payment details. And one more thing is the from this batch we are taking the less we reduced previously. Till previous batch we have taken 20K. Okay, and now we are taking 14K with a single payment only.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't need to go for 20, you can go for only 14 only. So this entire thing will go for 3 months. It's a live, completely live sessions. And if you have any doubt, you can reach out me. And even if you wanted to share your screen on Monday, Friday, I will be available. I used to do work from home, and rest of the days I used to visit my office, so I may not be available in weekdays. But sessions will be there in the morning. Okay, so that is not going to be a problem. If you wanted to share your screen, if you wanted to ask me to connect directly, then those 2 days on Saturday, Sunday, I will be available.
Yeah, Rudra.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to tell another thing.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, from last 6 months, I am trying to like know about data engineering. So I interested, and I tried to get some enrolled in some other course,
Okay.
but I am not unable to like understand. There are like 3-4 hours continuous sessions, so
Okay.
I dropped it, and later from last 1 week I am trying to get like know about course, so I am searching, so finally I got your details.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that it will be helpful for me to
Definitely,
transition
definitely,
into data
100%.
engineering. So
100%.
currently I am working as a test engineer automation, so I want to transition into data engineering Azure.
Okay.
I hope
Good,
it
good.
will work.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
Rudra.
how
And
how is
another,
this like, you people can understand, right? The way I'm explaining.
yeah, it's a easy way, so it's straightforward. Uh,
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah,
So we are going to say that throughout the sessions, we are going to in the similar way only. So you if once you come across my sessions, and at least one time if you practice, that is more and more enough to crack your interviews and survive in your working environment.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
another thing regarding that certification, so DP 203
DP
is
700.
yeah, currently DP 700 is
Yes.
there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
So if
if
you
I,
wanted to write a certification, I have a dumps. I'll share the dumps. You can go through them. Okay, so you can attempt it.
yeah, Rudra, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, but is that the core after completion course, right? You will do the certification.
Sorry. Yeah. After completion of the course, you can do it.
Yeah.
That is a better practice. That is the best approach. And some companies, like some people, they wanted to complete the certification. For them, that's not a problem. I'm going to share those dumps, and you can attempt it if you wanted to attempt it. Okay, you got my point, right? But this training is for purely related to working. Working is important than my certification.
Yeah, yeah, Rudra. Yeah,
And
sorry.
sample data will be provided. Okay, so whatever I'm going to show you, that will be there. Apart from that, I'm also going to give one project to you to do from your side, and one project I will explain end to end. Completely, it is a metadata driven project, not like just simple, just bring the data from one place to other place and just move it like that. It's not going to be something like that. We're going to spend more 20 hours on the project. Okay, so that too you're going to do along with me. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, like from when the training will be like
From
started
yeah.
today,
So the sessions are going to start from coming Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday
Yeah.
at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Monday, 8 a.m. to, sorry, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. IST. Daily 1 hour, Monday to Saturday.
Okay. everything. So regarding that link, so will daily basis will we get link
No,
or
the same
just
same link you can use. Okay, so same link you can use for next 3 days. And once the payments are done, then I'm going to change the new link. You'll get a new link, and that is not going to change. That will be fixed.
yeah? Thank
Okay. Okay, then I'm stopping here. We'll see on Monday. And I hope I already said the form. Again, I'm just keeping that in the chart. Not able to take that. Let me paste it again. So I just kept it in the chart. Just please submit your form, your email ID and phone
Sir,
number. Yeah,
sir,
please
can
go
you
ahead.
share this form on my WhatsApp? It's telling me to, sign in, and it's not allowing me to sign in.
Okay, okay. So then I'll share it in a WhatsApp. You're having my number also, right? I hope.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so okay, just ping me hi, then I'll do it. This is my number.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then I'm stopping here. We'll see you on Monday. Thank you for joining.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank,
Thank
thank
you.
you.